a startup goes approximately through 4 to 6 financing rounds until they will be acquired or have an IPO. The first financing round is called the pre-seed financing, which includes any kind of money you receive from family and friends, from business angels, and micro venture capital investors. This includes capital up to $1 million and means any amount you raise up to $1 million approximately, you can put it under the umbrella of pre-seed. So what's the goal of the pre-seed financing round? The goal of the pre-seed financing round is to test your idea, test your customer group, and try to get the first early adopters playing around with your mockups, with your early alpha version of your product. That means at this stage, you don't have a complete team. You don't have like any kind of marketing material necessarily to give it to PR firms and blast it throughout all channels. But at this stage, you should focus on building the first early core functions of the product, and also try to find your core customer group, which is very important to prove to the next stage of investors who come in the next financing round that you have something valuable and that there is a customer group that is interested in what you're building. So the next stage of financing would be the seed stage. At the seed stage of financing, where you raise a couple of millions, 2-3 millions, for this financing round, usually you'll get this amount of money from either high net worth individuals, can be also some business angels who are very wealthy. You can call them super angels, but most likely this money will come from venture capital firms. Some micro funds will also support it, but there are also specialized seed investors, VCs, who say, okay, I want to finance a startup who reached that stage to help them grow and get to the next level of growth. So what you need to achieve at this stage is that you show some initial traction of revenue, even if like 10K, 20K, maybe 50K, maybe even 100K, depending on the sector and industry you are in. But you need to show some traction, some revenue at that stage, if from maybe pilot customers who are testing your product. They're maybe not recurring customers, but at least someone who says, what you are doing, what you are building is very interesting. It's a prototype, but it's more an advanced version of a prototype that you're building, and it's functional. It adds some value to the customers. So at this stage, make sure that you get some customers and you have done a thorough research. You should hire at this stage also some proper team members who can do some research, who can do some development for you in-house, not just externally, and you can show that you are growing. So that's very important at this stage. At this stage, also, you can start doing some marketing. It's also very interesting at this stage to hold some speeches, make people aware of what you're building and that you are existing. That's, I think, a very, very interesting stage, because at this stage, the seed stage, is when you actually put the seed in the ground and start growing. That's where you show, okay, I can grow. I have found the niche and have found the product features that customers want. It's beyond just pre-seed, where you were just testing around with the concept, with the idea, with the market, with the kind of customers you want. Here, you already have onboarded some early adopters who say, I love what you're doing. It's really cool, and I need it. I want it. So that's the stage you should pay very close attention to, because at that stage is the most startup fail, because they can't get enough customer traction or proof of concept that their product is relevant. So seed stage is very important that you achieve the proof of concept of your product and your idea. And at this stage, you should have done already the proper market research thoroughly, so you know your customer group and segmentation very, very well. So, and the next stage after seed financing would be the Series A. The Series A is a very interesting phase in a lifetime of a startup, because it's the bridge between an early days startup, let's say run creatively and run somehow less professional, where everyone's doing almost everything, and bridging to the next stage of where what we will talk about Series B. So Series A is actually the bridge between seed stage and a professional company, that Series B company, which I will talk about in a minute. So the Series A is crucial because once you raise the Series A financing, which you get mostly from venture capital firms who finance Series A plus, you will hear some venture capital firms who say we are seed Series A, or they are Series A and plus investors. You need these investors to help you really go big. That's when you really want to grow. That's when you say, I nailed it. I found the customer group. I found also the product features that customers want. We build it. It's working now. Let's go big. And what you need for that is the proper management. So at Series A, you need to start hiring the right people at the right positions in order to grow. You cannot do anymore everything with everyone. You need to have the right people at the right positions to help you grow. You need the marketing specialists. You need also the finance people who are focusing only on finance, and you need also your salespeople and your sales channel properly set in place at this stage. You need it because you need to grow. Now you really go big. Once you achieve that stage, that's when you reach the level of becoming a scale-up. We call it scale-up in the startup world because you are not anymore the baby startup who is trying and testing. You are actually the company that is now focusing on growth and actually about to achieve the main market, where you say, okay, well, I want the customers from my competitors. I want to win them. That's when you differentiate yourself, and where the customers say you have something that the other competitors don't have, and that's important. Usually also the Series A financing is sometimes used as a bridge round to become a more established company, because once you reach the Series B, you are more or less an established small mid-sized company, and you're not just a small startup anymore who just test things around. Now let's talk about the Series B financing round. This is now the fourth financing round that I'm talking about. Of course, in a lifetime of a startup, you will have maybe more than just 4 or 6 financing rounds, depending on how well you're growing. The 4 to 6 financing rounds I'm talking about here are only in case you are really like having a perfect growth track record and financing track record where everything goes smoothly. But let's say you reach now the Series B financing round, you're more or less an established company as a startup, not company, I would say more as a startup, as a scale-up. That means you have a proper team, your product is working, your customer group is growing constantly. And that means the Series B investors are investors who say, I don't want to take the risk as much as the Series A, seed, and micro seed pre-seed investors. I want to invest in a company that's about to be acquired in the next 2-3 years, or I want to invest in a company that will have an IPO very shortly after I have invested. So that's usually the case. They don't take big risks usually. And what they expect from you is to show them that you have a solid revenue growth and also solid customer growth. And that also your market is very clear. So once you have that in place, they give you the money to tell you, you know what, go big. Now we are going to a national. You want to go to another state, you want to go to another country, and here's like 15, 20, or 30, or 50 million, depending on the industry you are in, the amount will differ. But that's the amount we are talking about that you will get to go international. Or you also, maybe you want to say, I don't want to go international, but I want to extend my product offering because I see the need is still there for my customers. I can generate more revenue if I just extend my product offering, and therefore you need more capital to invest in that field. So that's where you actually need the Series B financing, and to go big, to grow, and establish yourself as a player in the market that everybody knows and everybody wants to buy from you. So that's keep this in mind. That's a very important stage that you reach. Once you achieve that, you are more or less a very well-run company. You have a very good management team, You have very nice processes. You have to clean your processes at that stage, of course, track your finances and accounting as well. So now anything beyond the Series B financing round is actually just for growth, hopefully for growth. Some companies needed to survive. Unfortunately, in today's market, because everything is tough, the economy is more tough on most early stage companies, even scale-ups. So you need more capital to either survive, to keep your growth rate, or you just keep yourself until you're acquired, staying sustainable. So you can have Series C, D, E, and so on until you have been acquired. So the end goal of any startup is to either be acquired, merge with another company, or to have an IPO. For most of the companies, startups, it will be being acquired. So the goal is to survive as long as possible and showing growth. Growth is key here, but not growth like in the past, growth at all cost. It has to be a sustainable growth where you grow, but at the same time showing that you are aiming toward becoming profitable. It's, of course, not always possible to be and become profitable as a fast-growing company, and that's most likely not the goal for most VCs who invest in you, that you become immediately or as soon as possible profitable, but you should show some sustainable, I would say, revenue generation, customer attraction, and going toward productivity and profit. I think this is like becoming more and more important for VCs as well, that you don't just grow blindly and for neglect the profit and cost aspect. So reducing cost and growing is also a key factor here. So any kind of financing you receive from here on is now key to keep you sustainable, but also at the same time to prepare you for being acquired. That's very, very important. I hope this was somehow helpful. If you have some ideas, some comments about what I just said, please feel free to reach out, send me your comments. Let's stay in dialogue, guys. Thank you very much for listening.